we're going to have to parse it very carefully.
Yeah.
Is this Desiree Miller and Lamont Price? Another ceiling fan. We had a lot of trouble. In fact, I ended up calling the people on the telephone. Finally, after about 20 minutes of this not connecting to audio.
Just to let you know,
I think
Attorney.
we got him. Good morning. Are you Desiree Miller?
I am.
Is Lamont Price there with you?
He is.
All right, very good. This is Judge Middleton. I'm here at the courthouse in Centerville. Your landlord's attorney, Ms. Hines, will probably be here in just a moment. I'm going to take this opportunity to advise you of your rights as a tenant in a landlord-tenant proceeding, and I have to do this at least for another month or so. As a defendant in a landlord-tenant proceeding, including non-payment of rent or termination of tenancy, in this case, it's a termination of tenancy. They want you to move. They allege that there is unpaid rent and you have unlawful tenants, among other things. They want to terminate the tenancy and they want you to move.
Okay,
In such a case, you have the right to obtain counsel for representation in this matter. If you cannot afford an attorney, a legal aid attorney may be available to help you. And attorney Meg Bauer from Legal Aid is here with us on the feed, available for consultation if needed. You have a right to a trial by a jury or by the court. If the action is for non-payment of rent, we would go in a different direction than we're going here. This is a termination of tenancy case. If the plaintiff is agreeable, the Citizens Mediation Services, Inc. may be available as a possible source of case resolution. If both parties are agreeable to mediation, the court can help set that up if you contact the court. If you do reach an agreement with the plaintiff and a consent judgment is entered by the court, you would waive the rights listed above, but have the following additional rights. The judgment may not be enforced until 3 business days have passed. You could move to set aside this judgment within those 3 days if you misunderstood what you consented to or what you were waiving. Your motion to set aside the judgment would be set for a landlord-tenant hearing. However, if the judge does not find in your favor, the original judgment would stand. So we'll wait just a minute for Ms. Hines to log in and join us.
Okay, Your Honor.
Well, don't say anything till the other lawyer gets here. So just hold that thought for a minute.
Suppose unless they're interested in speaking with legal aid.
Well, let's wait till we get started. Then I can always put you in a breakout room.
Okay.
I do appreciate your logging in a little early and you got your sound hooked up. I've got a nice shot of your ceiling fan, but there she is. Good morning, Ms. Hines.
Good morning, Your Honor.
The defendants are here. I've advised them of their rights. Meg Bauer is here from Legal Aid. Ms. Miller wanted to tell me some things, but I asked her to wait until you got here. And now that you're here, Ms. Miller, what would you like me to know?
It was just that I didn't understand what you were saying when you were reading me the in the beginning. So,
Yes.
could you, in like layman's terms for me, what you said, please?
Yeah, isn't this great? The Supreme Court dictated the language. Apparently, we're gonna not have to do this anymore after November 6th. You're a defendant in a landlord-tenant proceeding. Your landlord has filed a notice to quit and a summons and complaint against you. They want you to move out of your property on River Run Road. They
Okay,
allege some violations of the lease, including not paying the rent, which is a separate thing, but that you've got unlawful tenants in there. They served a notice to quit on you back in June. You did not move. So they served this lawsuit on you in August, and here we are now. So the essence of it is they want you to move out. Is that correct, Ms. Hines?
Yes, that is correct.
okay, one more question. Who's the unlawful tenants that stay here? It's only me and Lamont that are here. We don't have anybody living here with us.
I don't know the answer to that. They allege that there is an unlawful tenant. Now, you do have a right to consult with legal aid. The other issue here is I think this lease is, no, it's still in effect. The lease is started April 29th of 2023. Ms. Hines, do you know who the allegation of the unlawful tenant is?
No, I do not. I think it was one of their children. He didn't, my notes don't show that, but I know he was concerned. I know he took photos. I'm looking at those, but it doesn't show an unlawful tenant. I know there's a car
Can I-
there that's not plated. The house
Can I
is.
see the photos?
Just a minute.
The house is a mess.
Yeah, my client said he quit mowing because there was so much dog feces in the yard that he couldn't
That's
even mow it.
untrue. That's so untrue because Lamont goes out there every time the dog goes out there and picks up the feces off of the ground.
All
So
right, well,
that's not
let's,
true.
the law requires that I continue this matter for at least 7 days. And we're gonna be very busy next week.
Your Honor, I am on next week.
All right. Well, then let's look at the Monday, the 18th.
Also, Your Honor, as a result, okay,
Just a minute. We're gonna continue this to Monday, September 18th at 1:40. Does that work for you, Lori?
Yes, it does, Your Honor.
Ms. Miller, what did you want to say?
okay, as a result of Chris not mowing the grass, there's a walkway in front of the deck where you come down the stairs, and I slipped and I fell. It's been 3 days now, broke my ankle and had to have surgery because of that issue. There's a hole where the grass is growing in the concrete that I didn't see because of the grass. And now as a result of it, I had to have surgery on my ankle and I'm going to be out of work for like 10 to 12 months.
All right, well, that may be a separate issue. I'm not sure if the lease indicates who's supposed to mow the grass.
It says it on the lease that Chris is supposed to be taking care of the lawn. He informed us when we got here that we could do it. And then he decided that he was going to do it because we would have to buy a mower and everything. And it's only one part of the grass that he won't mow, but he mows everything else. But as a result of this, now I'm in, I'm down and out because he did not, mow that. And I didn't see that hole right there.
All right, now, Ms. Hines, you also allege that they haven't paid the rent, which is not a termination of tenancy issue.
Right.
It's a non-payment of rent issue, but the rent looked like it was $250 every 2 weeks.
Correct.
How far is the rent in arrears?
3 months.
Yeah.
All right, so you haven't paid the rent. You moved in April.
Yes.
You
sir.
haven't paid May, June, or July's rent?
Yes.
Okay, So what do you wish to do? Do you wish to stay there or do you wish to move?
Well, if we come up with, well, if the $2,000 we give him, can we stay? I mean, I'd rather stay. I really like living here and I like Chris. We've just been through some very hard things since we moved in and stuff like that. And we've been trying to communicate with him, but he doesn't communicate back.
Well, he has a lawyer, and now he can talk to you, but when you file a termination of tenancy case like this, just asking you to move, this obviously hasn't worked out very well. You moved in April and then you paid April's rent, but not May, well, maybe May, June,
Yeah.
July, August. So that's a different way. If he files a non-payment of rent action, you can pay the rent and then you can stay. Here,
Okay.
he's filed a termination of tenancy action saying he just wants you to move. So he has to allege things other than not paying rent. He has to allege that you're violating the lease. And apparently there's a contention that you have or did have an unlawful tenant there and some other issues.
No, but can we also get the pictures that the defendant, I mean, that the attorney has, so we can see those pictures, because there's nobody else living here. There's another vehicle that I had that I got into an accident with that's here, that's getting ready to be moved off the property, but nobody lives here but Lamont and I and the dog.
All right, well, that's fine. Yeah, you're entitled to see those pictures. And if you've got an unregistered car on there, he's going to get in trouble with the township. So that's going to cause him some problems.
But the car is registered, Your Honor.
Does it have a valid plate on it?
No, there's not.
It was just in an accident. My car.
I know that.
No,
There is
the
no valid plate.
All right, well, just a minute. You both can't talk. You both can't talk at once. But we're going to continue this matter for 10 days rather than 7 to Monday, September 18th at 1:40. Now, Meg Bauer is here from Legal Aid, and I can put you in a breakout room so you can discuss some of these issues with them.
Okay.
But now I guess your landlord could change his tune, and if you showed up with $2,500, accept your rent payment and agree to continue the lease.
Your Honor, it looks like the rent hasn't been paid at all except the initial. I mean, I'm looking at the original demand for possession. He did it for non-payment of rent. That was dated on June 6th for $791.51. So,
well, if he'd
they've
filed a
been living there rent-free for quite some time.
well, he didn't file a non-payment of rent case.
Yes,
He
I
filed a
understand
termination of tenancy. So you've got to prove that they violated the lease.
Yep, I get it. Your Honor.
So we'll see where this goes. But yeah, they haven't paid June, July, August, or September's rent, which would be about, not exactly 2,000, but all right.
Looks
So
like
they paid.
looks like they hadn't even paid since May. So, wow.
All right.
Well, to me, that's a
All right.
violation of the lease. When you don't pay your
Ms.
rent.
Miller, would you like to talk to Ms. Bauer from Legal Aid?
Yes, I would, please.
All right. Now, our next court hearing will be September 18th at 1:40. There may be some issues. We may have to set a trial date or something, but at this point, they want you to move. So I'm going to set up this breakout room, and you click the button that says join, and then you can talk with Ms. Bauer from Legal Aid.
Okay. I had another question I forgot. Okay.
All right. Well, she may be able to answer it for you. All right, Ms. Hines, I'll see you on September 18th at 1:40. I'm going to block out 20 minutes or so for that hearing.
I'll have Mr. Schwartz up here as well, so he can provide more information.
Oh, how do we get to the pictures? How will the pictures be given to us?
Yeah, I want her to send you a copy of the photos.
I will. I made a note.
All right.
How is that going to come? Is it going to come email or mail or?
Mail.
All
All right. Click the join button.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Ms. Hines.
Hi, Your Honor, how are you?
Good. We gotta let the clock tick a couple minutes here.
All right. Mike,
Okay.
we are live, so I want you to be quiet till we ask questions.
Here is the defendant. Ms. Miller and Mr. Price, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, this is Judge Middleton. I've got a nice view of your ceiling fan. No, that's better. This is a return to file number 231025 LT. It's titled Chris Schwartz versus Desiree Miller and Lamont Price. This is a property on River Run Road. We were here on September 8th, and the plaintiff has asked to terminate tenancy for several reasons. The matter was adjourned for 10 days rather than 7 because Ms. Hines had another commitment last Friday, so it was bumped to today. The parties were allowed last time to consult with Meg Bauer from Legal Aid, but she isn't available here today. The notice to quit says unpaid rent, allowing others to occupy the home for longer than 5 days without owner's written consent. And that's the allegation in the termination of tenancy. The unpaid rent issue is not a basis for termination of tenancy. It would be a basis for unpaid rent. Ms. Miller also indicated that she had fallen and had some injuries, and there were also indications that there were unclean conditions. Defendant wanted to see the photographs that plaintiff had, and they were unable, I don't know if they shared that. So Ms. Hines, what's the status here today?
Your Honor, the parties have not done anything that was required of them in the lease. They haven't paid the rent since they paid the initial $750 to move in. They've allowed a dog to be there. They've allowed the dog to poop in the yard. My client took photos of that. He has a mode. He also was there the day that she fell, and he also took photos of that where there was no hole. There's just been ongoing issues with these tenants. He's got notices of people coming and trying to remove stuff from the house because they haven't paid them. So he just needs them out. They've not paid anything or done anything as far as the lease is concerned since they moved in, other than pay the $750 at the time that they moved in.
All right, well, that's a non-payment of rent issue. If now there was an allegation that there were unlawful tenants. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it's my understanding that Chris told me that Lamont was added to the lease. So he was included in the lease. So that's my understanding, that he didn't know that he was going to be there and that he was added to the lease. And also they have a dog. So, and I don't know if that dog had been approved by my.
Hold on. Your Honor.
Yes.
Okay, I have text messages between Chris and I about the dog, and Chris said it was okay for us to have the dog as long as we keep the dog poop picked up. What we kept our end of the bargain up, we pick up the dog poop every time the dog poops. Now, with the grass not being cut out there, it's a little bit hard to see the dog poop, so we might have missed some here and there. And as far as Lamont being added onto the lease, the day that we paid him the money, Lamont and I signed the lease together. So I don't understand what he's saying, that Lamont was never on the lease.
All right,
He wasn't
Lamont
on
is
the
on. Stop,
initial
stop, stop.
signing.
Yes, he is.
It was my understanding that he wasn't the initial person that was going to be on the lease. They did add him to the lease. That's why there is an additional person. And the reason the grass isn't being mowed, because my client has stepped in so much dog poop, dog feces, that he quit mowing the lawn because it was unmowable, because there was so much dog feces in the yard.
Now, the lease
And that's the
was,
pictures we sent her.
We
All right.
never got the pictures.
okay, let's back up here. The original lease is dated April 29th of 2023, Desiree Miller and Lamont Price. The signatures to the lease were Desiree Miller and Lamont Price. So the unlawful tenant that was
Right.
alleged to be in the premises is Lamont Price.
That's
So-
my understanding now, Your Honor, and I wasn't
All right.
aware of that when we filed the original complaint, so that is
All right.
correct.
Okay, so he's on the lease, so he's
Yes.
not an unlawful tenant. So all you have alleged is unpaid rent, which is
And
not
the
a term.
issue with the dog.
All right, well, let's take a look.
I have text messages between Chris and I that states that we can't have the dog.
All
As
right,
long as
hold
the
on.
dog doesn't have any, dig up any holes and we pick up the dog poop, he said it was okay that we have the dog, and I have that in text messages.
But
Okay.
Your Honor,
well,
we have
all
proof
right.
that they haven't picked up the dog feces, and that's why the
Well, I'm
law.
already hearing more about dog poop than I really care to, but let's see
Yeah.
what's in the
Sure.
notice to quit.
My leg is hurting.
The only thing that are alleged in the complaint is unpaid rent, allowing others to occupy the home for longer than 5 days without owner's written consent.
I
There's
get it.
nothing in here about a dog.
I understand, and those are new
Um,
things that I found out. I'll be happy to
and
refile
the-
for unpayment of rent.
All right, the unlawful tenant is on the lease.
Right
So
now,
that doesn't go anywhere. So let's figure out how much is the unpaid rent.
Your Honor, it's $2,250. Its rent was $250. Is that right, Chris?
Every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks. They have not paid from May 13th through Friday, 9/16. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 period, $250 that have not been paid.
Ms. Miller, what's the story there?
Well, it wasn't our intention not to, but I lost my job. My husband lost his job. He got another job, and then he got sick. And then we just been trying to play catch up, and that's just what it's been.
All right, well, the catch up sounds like the part where you pay none. This matter was adjourned for 10 days, but I didn't give you a dollar amount. So it was filed as a termination of tenancy on the basis that you had an unlawful tenant living there. Well, you don't. The unlawful tenant is actually on the lease. It was also alleged that you failed to pay rent. And failing to pay rent is not the basis for a termination of tenancy. The defendant has to be given an opportunity to pay the rent.
We did.
And we've adjourned this for 10 days. All right, September 16th. If we go one more week to September. Is it 2 weeks?
So the last period, Your Honor, was 9/2 through 9/16. So the
Yes.
next period is going to be from 9/17 through,
9/29.
9/29.
All right. Through
That would be another $250. So that
23.
would be a total of $2,500.
You know, $2,500 in rent. We've got a $55 filing fee. A $3,405. Plus 55 plus 34.05 plus $26 is 1105 plus the $75 statutory attorney fee is $190.05. If we add that all together, that gives us $2,690.05.
Correct.
You have until September 29th to pay that. That coincides with the rental period, or you're subject to being evicted. No money judgment is entered at this point. And partial payment will not prevent the writ of eviction. You have 11 days to pay the rent or move out, or you'll be subject to being evicted. You
Okay.
have until September 18th to pay the rent. Then I guess they can worry later about dog poop. There's nothing in the termination about that. It's just unlawful tenant. And he was on the lease and signed it, so I'm not sure how it went down that way, but the rent has been unpaid since May 13th, and that can't sustain itself. If you do move, you need to turn in your keys and give your forwarding address in writing within 4 days of your moving. Acceptance of a partial payment, as I said, will not prevent the writ of eviction. So if you don't move by Friday the 29th, you can expect probably an eviction early on Monday morning, October 1st. If you do move, turn in the keys and give your forwarding address in writing, and they can recover the premises. If there's going to be any hearing regarding money damages, that would be at a subsequent hearing. This is not about money, it's just about possession. You have to move by September 29th or you're subject to being evicted. Do you have any questions?
No.
All right, you're free to go.
Okay, thank you.
I sort of try to make a silk purse out of a sow's ear there.
Yeah, I know. We will.
Hopefully they will move, and if not, we'll have some further hearing. All right, thank you. I've got a judgment here that you submitted.
All right, then we'll work on the eviction judgment if they don't move out. Thank you.
All right, thank you.